Good morning, everybody. At least it's morning for me. I have my first cup of coffee by my side. I am Verts505, and I'm joined today by Carlson. How are you today, Carlson?
I'm doing very well, Verts. Glad to be here. I've got my coffee ready as well, but hoping these runners can give us an exciting race and provide a little virtual caffeine.
Yes, I agree. Today we have running. We have TheMissingLink and Nephistoss. Checking who their mentors are as well.
Believe Missing Link is mentored by Coxla, and Nephistoss is mentored by dazedcloud. I might have those reversed, but those are at least the two individuals involved.
Yes, we will find out once we get to the race screen itself here, and that will have that full info. So for those of you joining us, this is the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament 2020. In this tournament, mentors are helping the racers this week and next weekend we're off. Nice. And then next week, these racers will be flying solo, but for this week, they have the help of a mentor. And this is going to be an ambrosia seed, meaning we have a pretty standard start. As you can see, these runners are going through the vanilla escape sequence right now. Main benefit of ambrosia, though, is you start with a sword, and our uncle gives us his all of his money. Get our nice little inheritance here to start. And the question is, where are the boots? I don't know. Unfortunately, we missed the hint. If Shaki might know in chat.
All right, everybody, it's a boots hint, secret to everyone. It's going to be an exciting boots quest here, so we'll see where we end up. But got two talented runners today. Very excited to see this race. Did happen to get a chance to speak to both of them prior to the race and give you a little bit of information on both of them while we're running our standard escape sequence here. We'll start with runner on the left, Missing Link. Missing Link actually just finally learned Icebreaker and Diver Down. Apparently sounded so hard before, but not as difficult as they thought. Diver Down still, to me, quite difficult, but Icebreaker is something that even a noob like me can pull off. Also learned some good strategies for dark rooms in the back of Eastern. We'll see if that comes into play today. And been practicing bomb jumps a lot too, so if we get opportunities to throw those over there, and we'll see if the Missing Link is able to do those without any trouble.
And we're getting some confirmation from chat. Thank you, Irritable Penguin. Boots are on Death Mountain. So that will be, often when you get that kind of hint, you're like, all right, I'm going to go to that location as soon as I can.
And we'll see what we get from our runner on the right, Nephistoss. Nephistoss is fairly new coming into the Link to the Past Rando environment, but one of the top players from the Ocarina of Time realm, so we'll see what they can pull off there, but obviously a very talented runner who has plenty of experience in the racing world.
Yeah, I think good call here by Nephistoss to run away from the ball and chain guard, get some health, and pick up another pot. That ball and chain guard will always die with 2 pots, or a pot and 4 sword swipes, or 8 sword swipes. Also see the Missing Link going for the 2-pot setup here. Really, whatever setup you're comfortable with is the setup you should use here.
And as they are traversing to the next part of escape, I guess, Vert's, a question for you as kind of our token expert on the on the commentary today. As we see runners making the jump from, a 730, 745 escape down to that standard 6, what are the things that you really have to master to get down to that 6 flat?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, some of it is just like, knowing strats for rooms, right? So that was a big thing for me when I was starting to run this, was I would walk into a room in a dungeon and have zero idea how to fix that or how to deal with that room. So once you have played a couple of times, you get a sense like, all right, well, when I am playing, I kind of know this room, I have a strat, and this next room I know exactly what I'm going to do before I walk into it. So that can make a really big difference. Other part is kind of confidence with finding bombs potentially. We would like to see bombs in the front of escape here so that the runners can get the 3 checks in the back of the escape. Those are hidden behind a bombable wall or behind boots if you happen to get them early, but we know that we won't. So as we see these runners go through, they might kill some extra enemies, try to get some bombs. But we see Nephistoss just kind of walk on by those snakes and those rats earlier.
And into Dark Cross, we'll see what we've got in the chest here today. There's our bombs.
Nice.
No problem.
It's a nice bomb pack to get.
Absolutely, one of the most relieving things that you can get in Escape is seeing the bomb come out of one of those chests. And Missing Link, not too far behind.
This key rat room that Nephistoss just entered and got the key in, that can be a room that can take up some of your time if you're not quite sure about it, or if the rats give you some bad RNG. Like this movement that Missing Link just did, just going straight to the left looking for that key rat is good.
Yeah, some people fear the wall master. I fear the key rat.
Yes, that is reasonable. And kind of catching up with Nephistoss here, as Missing Link has a little bit of trouble with the bomb wall and the rats. They didn't get a ton in the back of Escape here. They got a map, some extra health, and a little bit of money. So hopefully we get something nice out of Sanctuary, but otherwise it was a pretty not too interesting start, other than the nice bomb pack that we got.
Yes, don't be worried, folks. The tracker is correct. There just wasn't much in there.
Yeah, got a whole 90-some rupees, and that's about it.
And Nephistoss will exit the Sanctuary. We'll see where he takes off to next. Looks like he may take some of the standard checks and head up over to CAC or the Lost Wood checks.
Yeah, generally, in my experience, a lot of folks doing these kind of standard opens will avoid doing the lumberjack check early. It's kind of a personal preference, I think. The benefit of doing it is you get more tree pulls, you can check a bush crab to see what they drop, but when you have, that's a nice master sword, how about that? When you've got 9 bombs and you're doing okay on bottle merchant money, you're kind of more tempted to skip that lumberjack check.
Interesting location for the master sword. It's close to being vanilla, but luckily we don't have to go through the ped pool to get it.
Nice bomb tree pull. Looks like Nephistoss is going to skip out on that master sword for a little bit. Oh no, what am I saying? I was mixing up my people. Missing Link is now going for their master sword.
That's all right, Verts. Slam that cup of coffee, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to. I'm gonna need to get a second cup, man.
Yeah, I will definitely be on mute for a time being and making a second cup. We'll see what Nephistoss here is going to see in Blind's Hut.
Ooh.
Nice early fire rod. That will take some of the anguish away, and a power glove. All right, very nice Blind's Hut.
We got one more check here, so then we'll kind of always talk about the implications of the items. So that fire rod and a glove would kind of make me feel like, all right, I can take a chance and go to the Village of Outcasts warp when I get Dark World access, because with a sword and with fire rod, it's like, man, if I can clear Skull Woods and it's a crystal, I am gonna do that. Speaking of crystals, we haven't had a map check yet, but when we do, we'll kind of know the layout of the Light World. We'll eventually see the layout of the Dark World later on.
Okay, then.
All right, Tempered Sword, sure. All right, what else does the well hold? Okay, game.
So we got out of a very non-loaded escape into a very loaded overworld.
Yeah, you're not going to complain about that. And getting a nice early tempered sword just makes every dungeon a lot easier. And
Okay.
Okay, well, we are a lamp away from multiple ways of AGA access.
Back to your original statement on heading over to Skullwoods early. Is it wise to make that play with such little hearts and a boss as frustrating as Moth?
Yeah, it depends on your comfort entirely, I would say. You know, I am someone, when I started out, I had some seeds where it was like kind of required low health Moth, and it was not fun. But you know, if I'm now in the spoiler tournament races, and I feel more comfortable taking that on. And we have a map check. Whoa, that was pretty quick. It looked like a red crystal on Eastern Palace, and then blue crystals on the others, from what I saw. We'll get another chance to check that with Missing Link.
The shelf in the library holds for us today.
The moon pearl.
Look like the moon pearl.
Well, that's interesting. So boots on Death Mountain are going to be required in order to get our Dark World access.
And blue mail in the race game.
Yeah, that's a nice safety that I think it's reasonable to go get that for sure. Yeah, some folks in chat pointing out that this Mentor tournament is kind of turning into the AGA required tournament. The way that Ambrosia is set up to give you a sword at the beginning of the game, it kind of in some ways makes AGA more likely. So it makes it a little bit more trickier that way. Got an interesting play here from Missing Link, who has walked all the way back north and I think is going to the Old Man Cave to go to Death Mountain right away.
I didn't happen to see if Missing Link checked the library. Is he aware that the Moon Pearl is in there?
That is a good question. I am not sure. I don't believe that they did check it. So they're going to check a couple of other things. I'm going to be surprised if they don't climb the mountain right now. I think that's a really smart move. You have a glove, you have hookshot. You can check a ton of stuff on Death Mountain, and we know the boots are on Death Mountain. I think that is a very reasonable play to make.
Yeah, that early hookshot really changes the plays, making East Death Mountain available to you.
We will have some darkness here on the Missing Link side. Nice, using the sword to guide themselves. Looking good so far. Yep. Yeah, these dark rooms, they seem kind of like, how do you do that? I've had people in my own chat say, like, how in the world do you possibly do that? A lot of it is just memorizing the layout of the room, or even just looking at a map as you walk through it in the dark. It's a perfectly valid way to do it.
Yeah, luckily the Old Man Cave is not terribly difficult. It's got a pattern that's pretty easily memorized, and you don't have the old man chatting in your ear like you do in vanilla mode.
That's true.
Nephistoss finds, wow.
And the lamp and the bow. And a cold sword. Okay. So that lamp makes things interesting, because it means that what Missing Link is doing is, within reasonable logic here. That lamp is very easily accessible. I will be interested to see if Nephistoss follows in the Missing Link's footsteps or decides to go over to Eastern first. I think Eastern's reasonable, because you're like, well, I can get a crystal, but you can also potentially get your boots.
And if I remember correctly, you said that it was a red crystal in Eastern?
Yes, I do believe so.
It's not often you get 13 minutes into a seed and you've got bow, hookshot, and butter sword.
Yes. Yeah, quite a strange seed. My feeling about these kind of stacked seeds is that the more early you get a really nice setup, the more painful things are going to become later. I hope I am wrong. I always hope I'm wrong on that. But that's just my experience speaking. Alright, we'll see Paradox Cave here in just a moment from Missing Link, as it looks like Nephistoss is going to follow suit. Shaki in chat pointing out Fire Rod also has been found early. Yeah, plenty of things here. Alright, Paradox Cave, 5 checks. Already did 2, find Quake. And that's it. Found Quake. Well, there is, I think, one more check in logic on the mountain right now, and that would be Spiral Cave. Unless we happen to find some other useful thing there, it means that the boots are somewhere we cannot get to right now.
Shaki in chat also points out no boots found in Death Mountain so far, but as we all know, there's plenty of checks to be made.
Potential danger about Death Mountain checks. Oh, nice half magic on the floating island there. Death Mountain can include things like Ether Tablet. It can include Mimic Cave as well. Basically, anything that's labeled Death Mountain is a Light World check on Death Mountain. It does not include the Dark World checks on Death Mountain. So we could see a situation where we don't find it in Spiral Cave, and it's maybe not on Ether Tablet, but it is in Mimic Cave. I don't expect that to be the case, given that we know Pearl is boots locked. So I kind of expect it to be either in Spiral Cave, or we're going to find something like Hammer in a book soon. Called it.
That's why you're the token expert, my friend.
I'll take it. So this is interesting because I don't, like you said, I don't think that Missing Link knows that the Moon Pearl is on library. So I wonder if they will go check that now. Nope, they do not.
Might be the Dam and South Shore checks.
Seems that way. I do like the aggressive play by Missing Link to go straight to Death Mountain. The only danger is that they have left that that library check for a while, so they might not get back to it for a bit. I imagine that their plan is eventually, whenever they do the check for Bonk Rocks with their boots, they will also go take a look at the library.
Bomb jump coming up from Nephistoss. Well done.
Really nicely set up. That Paradox bomb jump is I think one of the easier bomb jumps to do. If you line yourself up vertically first before you try to move toward the left side, you're gonna be able to get it the majority of the time. I'll be interested to see if our runners decide to get that half magic when they come back up here. And yes, I can confirm, as we're about to see on Missing Link's side, Bow and Lamp, both in Mini Moleworm Cave, along with our blue boomerang. And of course, the gold sword. Alright, and now our runners have each other's inventory now that Nephistoss has their boots.
Missing Link, I don't believe made the race games since they didn't make those library checks,
correct.
So
Yes.
no blue mail.
Missed that, yes. Alright, and Nephistoss knows where the Moon Pearl is, but instead of grabbing it, is heading straight over to Eastern Palace. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, early Bow can make the full clear.
I see Missing Link setting something up here. They're going to be doing a water walk you can set up a water walk by walking along or dashing along the edge of a hole like that. Seems like maybe they had a little bit of trouble setting up that water walk. They're going to try it again, though. Looks like MissingLink is kind of giving up on that water walk, and that's reasonable. I think if you mess it up once, you might as well just move on with your day. They're also going to head over to Eastern.
Yeah, no shame in that. There's plenty of times where it makes sense just to cut your losses and move on. Done it plenty of times.
And something we're going to find in dungeons, because this is an ambrosia seed, we are going to see runners find a non-dungeon item on bosses. So that means that in Eastern Palace, for example, you can get 3 potential items. So once you find 2 of those items that are not a map, a compass, a big key, small keys, things like that, once you find 2 of those in Eastern Palace, the boss has that final item. That can make your decision making a little bit easier. But the problem is we haven't found anything in Eastern Palace yet, so
no, just
do have the big key.
Compass and a big key, I believe, so far.
Depending on what the next 2 chests have, we might see Nephistoss just go straight to the back. Nice Stalfos room. That room is fun.
That room is deceptively difficult. You got to be somewhat precise.
Yes, yeah. I've done it correctly so many times, and I still mess it up sometimes. Yeah, it is one of those rooms where it's definitely really good to know, but you're gonna make like a minor error.
Big chest only containing the map, so still no items found in Eastern yet.
Alright, and Nephistoss through that dark room. Having the lamp definitely makes it easier, for sure.
Yeah, and with that early cape, you can avoid some damage here with the anti-fairies.
Okay. Nice, solid 300 rupees, but not progression, but still pretty nice. I do have a question in chat about what sprite the Missing Link is playing as, and I do not know the answer to that question. So if anybody does know, Senan suggested it's a Wind Waker character. I'm not familiar, perhaps. Yeah, so a good example of how that Stalfos room can be a little bit tricky. Missing Link moved a little bit too far down with their pot throw. And so they ended up triggering that 3rd Stalfos to appear. Very easy to make that happen.
Yeah, for anybody who's curious on trying to get that room down a little bit better, the NMG speedrun tutorial from Fruit Bats has a great explanation with some visual cues to use.
Yes, that Fruit Bats tutorial is definitely good. All right, and we do have our tracker now updated with crystals for the light world. There was a little bit of technical error there, but it's all fixed now. As we see Nephistoss heading into the Armos Knights. Let's see how they handle that. Gonna go for the quick kill. A little bit early with their first arrow shots there. That's okay. That's a tricky one to get.
So what is your strategy with the quick kill? Is it the audio cue from the music starting? What is your trigger?
Yeah. So I do what Nephistoss did there, which is line up kind of in near the top right corner between those top 2 Armos Knights. I wait for in the music. I wait for a cue. which is partly why I never play with MSU packs, because I'm so used to a lot of music cues. But I wait until kind of the drum kicks in for the boss theme. And once I hear those drums start going, that's when I start firing my arrows. So you fire 5 arrows to the right. Nice kill there by Missing Link. That was a little close. You fire 5 arrows to the right, move to the top left, and then you just start firing down at the Armos Knights as they circle.
And first crystal obtained at the 24-minute mark for Nephistoss. Missing Link not far behind.
Yeah, I do want to point out very good recovery by Nephistoss on that quick kill. Definitely made it work. All right, imagine Nephistoss now will head over, get their Moon Pearl, and we'll see what they do after that. We don't have a ton of options right now, to be honest. Given that the other boots checks really didn't lead to much. At this point, you can either try to fake flipper and hope you get something like a hammer, or the mitts, and that gives you Dark World access, or you just commit to doing the Aga play.
Well, sometimes the Aga play, it just hurts the soul, but with an Ambrosia, it's not much of a choice.
Yeah, Missing Link using a different setup for a kill here, kind of starting at the bottom right of the screen. It's reasonable. It is very reliable to do it that way. It works with the way that the Armos Knights move.
That's my strategy when I come into Armos Knights. It's certainly not as fast as the quick kill, but it's certainly not. It doesn't take a minute longer or anything if you're doing it right. So it's
yes,
it's a reliable way to go.
Yeah, my advice for new runners in general is, you want to have a plan for rooms that you enter, right? And it doesn't have to be like the top level strat. It just needs to be a strat. As long as you know what you can do, that will help you to improve.
Efficiency within comfort level.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. All right, we see Nephistoss going for the Agina check here. Let's see what we get.
Just a heart.
We see Missing Link thinking for a second there, trying to decide which way to go. They're going to go do their library check now.
As I'm looking at that sprite, I can't help but think it's maybe the monkey from Super Monkey Ball, but I'm not sure that's likely.
It looks like Nephistoss is going for those fake flipper checks before going to Aghanim. I personally would do this because I hate doing Aga. So
yes, I would
definitely be my play. Although
I would do anything to avoid it.
It's using a bomb setup. That bomb setup is nice because it will put you horizontally on the right spot. You just need to move up and then go into, okay, we're gonna skip some other stuff. Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's sad. The thing about fake flipper is normally in the vanilla game, if you get hit, the game will try to put you back on land where you jumped into the water. But if you're not on the screen where you fell into the water, then it will just kill you. The vanilla game will do a hard lock, and you will just kind of be in a lot of trouble. But the randomizer kind of fixes that, so you just die instead. Yeah, I think what Nephistoss is doing now is a reasonable play. You mess up your fake flipper once, you're like, well, I'm going to try again. I'm going to go for Aga.
That's Rando being Rando. Once something unfortunate happens, you have to be able to adjust on the fly, and luckily Nephistoss clearly is able to do so. And for any newer runners watching, there's another great video out there, this one from Koi, on how to do fake flippers. There's a very easy setup using the bush, going up to the top right pixel. It's the way that I learned it. It was extremely helpful, so feel free to go check that out as well. Koi is very knowledgeable.
Oh, sorry, I was pushing the wrong button. That bush method is also a kind of the way that NMG runners will set it up. it can be a little bit slow to do it, but it definitely is like reliable, and it will get you on the right pixel.
Efficiency within comfort level.
Yeah. We have a ton of good items for this Aga Tower climb. We've got a bow, we've got a fire rod, we've got everything you need to make this easy. Gold butter sword, nice and easy.
It's definitely nice to walk into those ball and chain guards with a fire rod and not have to worry about anything.
Oh yeah. And we see Nephistoss with still a slight lead here. You know, at this point in rando races, it's kind of hard to say so-and-so is in the lead, because it can change so much once players get to the Dark World and you have more routing options. But we definitely saw these runners get closer together once Nephistoss had that unfortunate failed flipper check and decided to check a Gina. See the missing link having a little bit of trouble in this maze here. This maze can be really annoying. There we go. Now we got it. Oh yes, now we got it.
It'd be interesting to see after each of these runners complete Aga if there's any divergence between them or if they end up going to the same next stop.
Yeah, it's always interesting to decide what to do here because you can dip into pod. You don't have a hammer, so you can't complete it, but you can go there. You know, or you could go north and use your hook shot to make it across, go to the Village of Outcasts. I would be tempted to do that, given that we have a fire rod. And Aga, of course, being Aga, is going to toy with our emotions here. And we'll also hopefully see an early map check once we get into the Dark World.
Yeah, that map check will definitely be a big determiner on where we're heading next. As Shaki mentions in chat, with if pod is just a pendant, making the quick dip would be a wise move. If it's a crystal and no hammer, then things get a little bit more difficult.
Yeah. But we shall see soon, as Nephistoss has defeated the wizard and has teleported to the Dark World at last. On the pyramid ledge, a heart piece. Not very exciting. And we have a map check. Pod is red pendant. TR was green. I missed the other pendant and the red crystal. It was a very fast map check. Alright, they're growing pod. If anybody happened to catch the other pendant and red crystal, please let us know. That would be appreciated. We'll hopefully see another from the missing link here in a moment. So Senin is confirming that Thieves Town is also a pendant, and Senin is not happy about it. Yeah, Thieves Town being a pendant always feels kind of bad.
Nephistoss pays the monkey, and we are into pod. Head down to the shooter room first. See if we can get a map check from Missing Link here as we switched over to the Dark World.
And pod not bow locked today. Not that it would matter too much, given that we got the bow so early in this game. Alright, Red Crystal in Skull Woods, and yes, Thieves Town is our other pendant. Nice. What a game. I would be very
Missing Link
tempted. Yeah, go for it.
Missing Link just did us a favor by hanging out on the map screen a little bit longer than Nephistoss. And where were you saying your strategy was going to head there, Bertz?
I like what Missing Link is doing here, because you have, well, okay, maybe this works though. I think it's reasonable. They're going up to Catfish first. I would maybe save this. I would personally be tempted to go straight for Village of Outcasts, use that fire rod over in Skull Woods, and kind of see what I can get on that Dark World check loop there. But I think this is reasonable. Check Catfish now versus save it for later.
And if you were going to make those the Skull Woods play with Thieves Town just being dependent, would you go in and dip for those 4 quick items and get back out?
I think I might. It depends on the item setup that we have after everything else. This is a hard death warp to set up when you have blue mail, but Nephistoss is doing a death warp here in pod, as Missing Link doesn't get much from Catfish. I would probably, given the setup we have right now, be tempted to go into Thieves Town and at least do the front of it. I say that, and of course there have been races where I just completely skip Thieves Town, and then it bites me later because it has a go mode item for me. I will be a little honest here and say I have missed a couple of checks over in pod. Looks like a lot of small keys right now.
That's what I have seen so far as well. And just for those on the newer side, pod has 5 items that are possible outside of maps, keys, compasses. So plenty of things to potentially find.
Looked like the big key there. Nice. Alright, and we saw Missing Link give us a peek at the bumper ledge. There's nothing there. When you have cape early, that's another nice reason to take a look at that. Now, Missing Link is first going to do Dark Village. I think that's, that makes sense if you're a little bit worried about Skull Woods. Skull Woods can be a tough dungeon. It can be really tough, so I don't hold it against anybody kind of putting that off.
No, this is definitely the play that I would make. The moth gives me nightmares, so need as many safeties as I can.
I understand. I am sure that chat will correct me if I'm wrong, but I have not seen anything that's of major interest in pod. We did pick up a shield, but that's it. Going to be running out of checks in pod here in a moment. And neither runner getting much right now in the way of progression. Just a lot of heart pieces and other kind of stuff that might make you feel a little more comfortable. And they get magic powder in that last check in pod. That could be interesting. Oh man, Missing Link finding his mitts.
Yeah, certainly finding that powder in pod would give me a little bit more solace going into Skull Woods. Just having some safeties there with anti-fairies, but we'll see what the play here from Nephistoss or the Missing Link will be. Oh yes, Seawalker in chat. We had very early butter sword. It's about 13 minutes. We had a hook shot and a butter sword.
we'll see what Missing Link does here if they decide to complete the dungeon or leave. They found Mitts. I think Mitts is definitely a good find, and you know, it's totally reasonable to leave at that point if you feel like you're done. Looks like that's what they'll do.
Yes, the mitts at this point certainly open up some additional options.
Yeah, it's nice because you can definitely have an access to another Dark World warp from the village. Until you get the hammer, getting into the Dark World is still kind of annoying. And now we see Missing Link heading up towards Skullwoods. And Nephistoss making me sweat a little bit. They have 1 heart, so this could be a little bit scary. Yeah, they're playing it safe here. I think that's good. Maybe a little too safe. I think they're surviving, but that's the main point. Ooh, interesting. A mushroom in Skullwoods.
And Skullwood's only containing 2 items, so would believe that the other item there is just left on Moth.
Yep, you are correct. Yeah, that's the nice thing about Ambrosia is, you know, once you find a certain number of items in a dungeon, you're like, all right, I can go to the boss. We're good. That can make these, you know, there are a couple of 2-item dungeons like Tower of Hera, Desert Palace, Skullwoods, and Misery Mire. Once you get them, you're like, all right, I'm good. Nice. And interestingly, these runners following a similar path here on Nephistoss, going into Thieves Town, getting the mitts. As we see Missing Link heading to the back of Skullwoods.
And no need for that chest there. We can head straight to the Moth.
Is a little bit scary with 3 hearts, so I think this makes sense to fill up the hearts as Nephistoss takes a death. I don't think they got all of the chests in here that they wanted. No, they did not, because they're going back in. I looked away for a moment and wasn't sure when they died. It was a little bit early. All right, Missing Link taking the safe route through this fire lighting room. Definitely reasonable to do.
Yeah, would I be wrong, Verts, in guessing that these players are fairly even at this point?
Yeah, I would say so. It looks as though Missing Link is a little bit ahead, but it kind of depends on Nephistoss's route. So he found Powder in Pod, not able to complete Pod. You probably don't want to because it's a pendant anyway, but you don't have the hammer yet, so you can't do it. So if that Powder comes into play and is a useful item that gets you progression, then Nephistoss is in a good spot. Ooh, unfortunate for Missing Link. Takes a death there. Moth can be tough. Moth can definitely be tough. We'll try again.
Luckily, it doesn't take you too far back with that door, so just a quick couple rooms, and you're right back to the Moth there.
Nephistoss getting a little bit bullied there by the thieves, but makes it through, heading to Skullwoods as well. Yeah, as much as this is a quick dungeon to get back into, it does, you know, every bit of time that you have to add on is kind of unfortunate in some way.
And Missing Link will give it another shot here.
Yes, indeed.
And Verts, being a newer player myself, something that I don't know if I quite have the hang of yet is understanding what's the damage implications of the moth hitting the spikes.
You don't want it to happen is the main point here. But basically, if the moth gets knocked into a spike before the damage from your attack actually is processed by the system, then the moth doesn't take any damage. You know, the game is set up so that moth can be in that room with the spikes. So the spikes can't hurt her, otherwise you would win the fight kind of instantly. And so if you hit moth into those spikes, it basically cancels out anything that you did, which can be pretty annoying. That fight can go very quickly, or it can take quite a while, just depends.
And Nephistoss gets a nice safety there with a fairy.
We did see MissingLink take down Moth. Congrats there. This is definitely well done.
Yes, that was a far better fight. Both of these runners are clearly talented, so I wouldn't expect too many deaths like that. They're certainly better players than I.
And Nephistoss is getting bullied a little bit in this torch room, but gets through it. All right, we're going to see our King's Tomb check here from MissingLink.
Just 10 arrows in the King's Tomb check.
Yeah. All right, so where do we go? We have a lot of overworld checks. We could, in theory, you could go into Ice Palace. It would take a fake flipper to do it, so it's out of logic. You wouldn't be able to get super far because you need a hammer. See MissingLink going for this Bonk Rocks check as well now. We skipped out on that a little bit earlier.
Oh, very well done,
yes.
Nephistoss.
Very nice fight there. I imagine these runners will now do kind of a loop down to the south and do Dark World checks along the way. Probably you're going to grab your blacksmith friend and take them on a world tour at this point. Probably heading over to Hype Cave so that you can do the 5 checks in there along the way.
And we'll see if Hype Cave lives up to the name today. Last couple seeds I've seen, it has not.
So interesting point of divergence here. Nephistoss skipped a earlier check in Skull Woods. So when MissingLink went in there, they checked the first chest in Skull Woods immediately and got the mushroom for it. Nephistoss did not do that, and so now they're kind of working their way backwards. They'll get it. They'll get that mushroom soon, but it's going to be like a little bit slower. Just kind of, I think it's reasonable to rush the back of Skull Woods when you know you can kill the boss. But, sometimes Rando is Rando and just doesn't work out. Dig game happening over on MissingLink's side. Whole lot of digs required for 20 rupees.
And I guess responding to a comment in chat there, Verts, the world tour you mentioned for the blacksmith, would that be because we don't have the mirror quite yet?
Yes, yeah. So that's part of the problem here is when you have the mirror, it's very easy to return the blacksmith home. If you do not have the mirror, your life is a little bit more annoying. You can bring the blacksmith back with a save and quit. So what we're likely going to see from MissingLink here is check all the Dark World stuff you can along the way. And then they'll go save and quit and return the blacksmith and then figure out what to do from there.
And Stumpy just holding blue rupees today.
Interested how long MissingLink will hold off on checking mushroom. I'm someone who, if I get mushroom, I'm going to go turn it in pretty much as soon as I can. Just based on, if you got it, you might as well use it. And it's a pretty quick check if you can do a fake flipper to get to it. There's a warp pool southwest of Link's house that lets you do that.
Missing Link will head into Hype Cave.
Get your raiding ready. Red Cane's pretty nice. All right, it's like kind of hype maybe.
I mean, you could head into Ice Palace, I suppose, with the fake flipper, but at least you've got now the icebreaker option.
Yeah. Only danger of Ice Palace again is if you don't have that hammer, you're gonna be very upset if you don't find it in there. I am not sure what Missing Link's doing. They're having a conversation. All right, cool. Now we're heading off to return our blacksmith. Now, the sensible item for a blacksmith to give you would be a hammer. If they're using hammers, they could just give you one. So,
and then to be able to pull off hammer pegs right after that, especially with the boots, I don't know if there's anything more satisfying than doing the hammer dash.
Yes, this is definitely a nice thing. It's one downside of playing any swordless mode is that hammer dashes don't work. If you are doing item dashes like that, you have to have a sword to be able to go through things, unfortunately. All right, we see Missing Link going back up to the mountain. They're going to do Dark Death Mountain. I think that makes sense. We've got plenty of checks there. There aren't really dungeons that you can clear right now. Getting bullied a little bit up there.
The cabbages are rootless.
And Shaki pointed out that blacksmiths just gave us a little bit of love, gave us a nice little heart container. But that's about it. Alright, Dark Death Mountain item checks coming in. We're going to see Super Bunny Cave first, then we'll get to Hookshot Cave. Yeah, there is a way to use the hook shot to clip through those blocks, but if you're not comfortable doing it or not familiar with it, it can be kind of annoying to teach it on the fly. So definitely reasonable to take the route that Missing Link did.
It just appears that there are so many little tiny time-saving glitches that you can learn, but it's just the process of going about learning them.
Yes, that is definitely true. Yeah, King's Tomb, unfortunately, we did see it from Missing Link's side, just some arrows. Sad to say. And meanwhile, like Hookshot Cave.
Nephistoss will return the blacksmith friend and also gain his love.
Get some money from Hookshot Cave. And some more arrows. And the flippers, nice. All right, that's useful.
Likely conversation happening between Link and Cloud here.
What do you do? I would go check the Turtle Rock entry requirement just in case, but that's fine. You don't really need to finish Turtle Rock. I would just want to know what it is in case, you got Quake pretty early in this game. So if you see Quake on a pendant Turtle Rock, it's like, maybe. Looks like Missing Link gonna do those water checks right now. Hold on to their mushroom for a little bit longer. Nothing on Lake Hylia. Okay, I got a little stuck there. The swimming physics in this game are interesting. I'll say that. It's very easy to get stuck on stuff.
There are a few things as frustrating as when you're stuck on something and feeling like on a restream, like people are gonna think I don't know what I'm doing.
This is interesting right now. Both Nephistoss and MissingLink doing similar things right now, but the only difference is that for MissingLink, it's in logic.
And the
This
hobo giving
whirlpool. There we
a
go.
bottle with blue goo, so somewhat vanilla plus, I would say.
Yeah. And that's also our first bottle of the game, which means that Sick Kid is now available. It's kind of out of the way now for MissingLink, unless you decide to go back to do Purple Chest or something like that. And Waterfall Fairy has the magic mirror. Oh my goodness. All right. So that might change Nephistoss's options here. That will be good for MissingLink because they can go straight to Swamp Palace and they can full clear that. But Nephistoss is going to need to climb the mountain first to get their flippers.
And have we seen what's on the ledge?
I glanced away as Nephistoss is checking it. I was looking at MissingLink getting their mirror, but we'll get another peek at it here. Move to the right. Why? It didn't seem important. It looked like nothing. Oh, 3 bombs from Zora. That's unfortunate, but it's okay.
Most expensive bombs you can purchase.
Yeah. The good news for both of these runners is that this fake flipper would not have helped them avoid Aga necessarily. It might, depending on if you get like Hammer in Hera or something. But it doesn't immediately appear that it would help you avoid Aghanim.
Yeah, while playing the Aga seed is certainly frustrating, and it is nice to get the validation of, all right, I had to do this.
Yes. I did play a seed recently in a race, just with a voice chat race with some friends, where Hammer was in Waterfall Fairy and flippers were locked behind Aga, and everybody who did not fake flipper was very upset. All right, we're going to get to the kind of a little bit more divergence here. Nephistoss going to Hera, using that mirror to get up there. I like that play. MissingLink, I think, is going to look like probably get Purple Chest.
And just the map in the front basement of Hera.
I imagine that MissingLink is grabbing Purple Chest and will then maybe Fake Powder? Yes, they are. Alright, so Fake Powder is a fun glitch. So they're going to have to empty their magic. But if you have 0 magic and you use the cane, and right as you use the cane, you pause the game and switch over to your mushroom, you'll do a little powder toss as if you have the powder. We do not have powder, so this is a sequence break. This might save them the time of having to go to pod, so this will be interesting to see if this pays off. Maybe they got it. They got it. Nice. Easy. Yeah, I'm a little worried for where Nephistoss is standing right now. Okay, good. They aren't stuck. They were able to get off. Oh, just 50 from Magic Bat. Yeah, some folks in chat pointing out, like, it seems like MissingLink might have been learning Magic Powder on the fly. Definitely possible. Nothing wrong with that either.
And props to pulling it off. If you're in a race and doing something for the first time, and your mentor's teaching you, that's very well done.
Absolutely. Also going to get our Sick Kid check. He just gives us his homemade explosives there. It's a little strange, but okay, dude.
Just your standard Sick Kid with a pyrotechnic hobby, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
Nephistoss takes a second to hit the switch, so we have any safeties we need for Mold 1.
Yeah. MissingLink looks like they're kind of talking through stuff with their mentor here. They're heading off to the swamp area. Alright, so Nephistoss finds 300 groupies in the big chest in Hera, that means the other item is on the boss. Kind of has to be because that was the last possible check.
And Missing Link will go check in with Gary. We'll see what Gary's holding this afternoon. Just 10 error. And very well done, Nephistoss, on that Moldorm fight.
Yes, definitely. Gold Sword makes that fight pretty straightforward. Nice. Pretty solid crystal get. I imagine Nephistoss will head east and do their Dark World checks. They'll get their flippers and be like, well, all right. I'm really curious about this play by Missing Link. I'm kind of surprised. Oh, you know what? I know why they're not going to Swamp. They don't have a hammer. You can only do one check in Swamp without the hammer, so that's reasonable. I always get caught by that. I'm like, nice, I can do Swamp, and then take a second and think, wait, no hammer. I'm in trouble. We are running out of places where hammer can be, though.
And it looks like Nephistoss will head over to Super Bunny.
Yeah, meanwhile, Missing Link kind of following behind Nephistoss here. Shaki joking in chat about hammer in first chest of Swamp. You joke. I have seen it. Yeah, hammer can definitely be in Swamp. It can be in Ice Palace. It can be in the back of Thieves Town, which we skipped. It can be really anywhere at this point. We do have access. Oh, that's unfortunate. Missing Link took a dive down the side of the mountain there. When you have hook speed, it's, if you touch any kind of ledge, you will hop immediately down. There we go. Avoided it this time.
Well done. And for those of us just joining us, good morning. Glad to have you here for the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament 2020, round 2. Missing Link and Nephistoss taking a round this morning, and make sure to give these runners both a follow. Talented runners so far, and Bertz, thanks for your commentary here early in the morning with your coffee as well.
Yes, absolutely. Do want to follow up on that Thieves Town medallion. It was Bombos that Nephistoss saw there. So Thieves Town, or not Thieves Town, Turtle Rock entry is less likely. Ooh, nice benefit for Nephistoss of getting the mirror first here is that they get half magic in a second. Feel good about that. Yeah, I also want to shout out our tracker. We've got Koval tracking and our Restreamer Shaki. Thank you. Shaki also hanging out in the chat as well. Do want to make sure folks do give a follow to the runners and their mentors. They will appreciate it. Show them some. You can also give a follow to trackers and Restreamers. Also do want to note, while we have a little bit of downtime here, this tournament is put on by the Go Mode podcast, a really informative podcast about everything Rando related. You'll get news, you'll get community updates, you'll get a feature in which you can learn kind of a deep dive into a topic. So if you're not familiar, you haven't listened yet, give it a listen. You'll learn something.
And it's a very interactive community as well, Bertz. As someone on the newer side, I've been very impressed by just the kindness of everyone in the community, and it's a great group of people, so definitely jump into the podcast and get involved.
Yeah, and you can do that. You can join the Discord as well. We have it linked in the chat now. I will say, when I was starting out with Rando, I remember I joined the I joined the spoiler log tournament, and I had been playing Rando for like, I don't know, 5 months at that point, maybe at most. And I just got stomped. Just got absolutely wrecked in that tournament. But had a lot of fun. And then the Mentor tournament happened after that. And I was in the first Mentor tournament and just learned so much, made a lot of new friends. Just really enjoyed joining the community. So highly recommend it for anybody.
Yeah, and even if you are in the position where you may get stomped, which I have certainly been in, everybody in this community is rooting for each other and trying to help everybody improve. So uh, definitely have no fear jumping in and getting involved. It's a very supportive group.
Absolutely. All right, and we see these runners still kind of crossing each other's paths here. Nephistoss heading off. Looks like they're probably going to get their purple chest check. See how they do there. We already saw it, so we know they won't be super pleased about it.
And Missing Link using the drop method to get down to that big chest.
Actually, Nephistoss is skipping out on purple chest. They're going to cave 45 first. It's interesting to think about next plays here. Shaki kind of bringing up you might go Ice Palace. It's a hard call. I think Ice Palace seems reasonable. The only issue is like Hammer can be kind of a stumbling block for Ice Palace, because if you do Icebreaker, you kind of may end up in a situation where you don't have a small key to be able to progress. And so you might end up doing Icebreaker. You might get something really nice out of it, but then you maybe get locked out of the rest of the dungeon without a hammer. Any of the plays that these players can make at this point carry a risk like that, though, because you go into Swamp Palace and you get one check. You go into Ice Palace and you get a couple of checks. You go back into Thieves Town, which feels bad because you left it earlier, so you don't really want to do that.
And that is the epitome of Rando being Rando.
Mm-hmm. And Nephistoss turning in their powder, not going to be happy with the results after all the time they took getting the powder.
And if he's taking the time to go see Gary with the purple chest, he's not going to be terribly thrilled about that either.
All right. Well, Missing Link came back to the village area, possibly going back into Thieves Town.
Verge, did you happen to catch if Missing Link did any of the other Village of Outcasts checks?
Yeah, I believe they did all of the village checks. Actually, now that I'm looking at what they're doing, they don't really have a choice about using this portal because they still don't have the hammer. So all the ideas are like, oh, maybe they'll go into Swamp Palace. Like, well, you have to take a really long trip to do that. All right, we're going to see another mirror check here with Graveyard Ledge. It works. It's reasonable. Little bonk on the bush there. Well, hopefully this is something. We'll see. It's hard because all of the calls that they can make are difficult calls. That's our third shield of the game. So if Nephistoss ends up there, they will get their mirror shield.
Yeah, unfortunately, you were definitely picking your own poison at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I would do at this point. Given that we went into Thieves Town already, I would not want to go back to Thieves Town. It feels really bad to do that. And it's a situation where if you did it and you left early, you know that if your opponent went further in and got something, then it's kind of too late, So you want to avoid that. And see Missing Link turning in the mushroom. I think that's reasonable. I would have done a little bit sooner, but I think whenever you get to it is fair. Oof, unfortunate. Just 50 roops.
And Missing Link will start from the sanctuary. We'll see where he heads to next.
Nephistoss has their mirror shield, and they're heading off to turn in their mushroom as well. I like what Nephistoss is doing, staying in the Dark World, kind of lets them link things together, especially when you are limited in your Dark World access to just having mitts. Then you're it makes it very hard to actually like get anywhere else. So you kind of have to save a Dark World portal whenever you can.
Yeah, as someone who's somewhat OCD, I find myself just trying to knock things off the tracker, and it's not always the most efficient route. So I like to see these guys be able to link things together and do it in a way that obviously is going to take the least amount of time.
Yeah, that is the ideal. Yes, Nephistoss is going to check out Catfish as well here.
And Missing Link will check out the South Cave.
Oops, little mirror. No, never. Okay. All right, what do we do? Looks like, no, all right. Not going to the swamp, going somewhere else. Probably doing, yep, okay. Yeah, they've been able to do this for a while. The Pyramid Fairy. So because Eastern Palace and Skull Woods were red crystals, they can access the big bomb here. Or maybe not. Okay. That changed their mind, I guess.
Rethinking that decision?
All right. That's fine. Oh, no, I would have done it. That's okay.
Well, especially in the Mentor tournament, you've got a lot of conversation happening between runner and mentor, and sometimes you're just kind of moving the D-pad around while you're having those conversations.
Yes. Well, all right. So we are going to see a swamp check from Missing Link and an Ice Palace check from Nephistoss. Yeah, these runners definitely wanted to avoid these dungeon checks for quite a while. Yeah, you can get the bomb very easily. It's given they've killed Aga. You can get the bomb. You can walk north and use the Dark World warp. So, I imagine they'll put it off for a while, but they'll eventually get it. All right, let's see what happens here. Someone is making a play. We're not going to know who until it's too late. Ooh, got bullied a little bit there on Missing Link's side with the bomb and those water spiders. Missing Link just get the big key. Yep, and they're saving and quitting. They're probably going to do Ice Palace now. Yep, there they go. Well, maybe not. I'm just going to keep saying things that they're going to do, and they're going to keep proving me wrong. So I'll just say the wrong thing to do, and then they'll do the right thing.
You're almost the Tony Romo of commentary here, throwing off guesses. And here's the big bomb does come forth for Missing Link. And Nephistoss entering the icebreaker room. Interested to see which method he uses. Personally, I'm one who enjoys the pause buffering, but
it's really quick with the sword buffer.
Wow.
There. That was nice. Well done. All right, looks like they're going to check out the spike chest as well.
I'm following your lead, Verts, just guessing things that they're not going to do, but very well done, Nephistoss.
Oh no. Why? Okay, good. I was really worried for Missing Link there for a second. I thought they dropped the bomb and then used the mirror. That would.
Yes, Chad, get excited. Verts is on commentary.
Doesn't happen often. Oh my goodness, the flute in Pyramid.
Wow.
So okay, so this makes things a bit more interesting. So Nephistoss is gonna go back through Ice Palace. They're gonna do Ice Palace bomb jump likely to make further progress. They didn't get anything yet, which is unfortunate. So I think we're gonna see Missing Link go activate that flute, probably check out the Mire area. If they can go into Mire, they are gonna do that because it is a crystal. You might as well do it if you can. And of course, having said that, they're not going to do that. Just my luck today.
The people are just happy to hear you, Verts. Don't worry.
Even if he's wrong, he should be here. Of clutch fairy time there from Nephistoss.
Yes, one of the most frustrating simple rooms there is.
Yeah, right.
All right, Nephistoss, let's see the Ice Palace bomb jump. Nope,
Oh,
don't
no,
have it.
okay.
Don't need it.
We'll
Got the
just
switch.
go on through. All right, that's fine. That's whatever you want to do.
Following your lead, Verts, guessing things they're not going to do. Now, I may be easily impressed, but I actually have been impressed with both these runners' ability not to bonk terribly often on their dashes.
Yeah. Yeah, avoiding bonks is can be a very large time save over time. You know, you don't think like an individual bonk makes a big difference, but you know, one bonk is fine. Several bonks can be a problem. Oh my goodness!
There is the hammer.
Wow. Oh, poor Missing Link. Used the mirror and then immediately hopped off the ledge. That's unfortunate. Where they mirrored, the game had them stuck, so they were kind of forced into that. That's sad.
And looks like Missing Link will head up to the Meyer shed potentially.
Yeah. So we're gonna see Nephistoss finish Ice Palace because they have their hammer now, and then we'll see what happens. Hopefully they head over and get their yeah, right. Hopefully they get their flute soon. Man, what a world.
One of those gambles that just makes you feel like a genius when it pays off.
Right. Oh, interesting. Meyer also bombos. Someone's caught that. Shaki caught that in our chat. So that means we're gonna need bombos at some point. We just don't know where it is.
And just a map on the torch here in desert.
Nice solid shell melting here from Nephistoss onto the next phase.
And of course, if you have the fire rod, go ahead and use it here.
Yeah, making use of some of that little bit of spooky action on the fire rod there.
It doesn't say in the score sheet how you killed the boss. It just says you killed it. So whatever is necessary.
That's right. Yeah, when you've got gold sword, half magic, and a fire rod, you're feeling pretty good about that fight.
Okay, let's see where Nephistoss goes to next. Verts, where do you think he's going so we can prove you wrong once again?
I hope they go to Pyramid with the bomb. We shall see.
I like the use of hope. Try to spare yourself some
Yes.
blame if he doesn't do it.
Yes. I do like Missing Link got the red armor over in Desert, and then mirrored out going straight to the boss here. The nice thing for Neph having gotten the hammer is that they can use this warp now.
Yes.
They also can, it might make sense for them to do Swamp Palace and then do Pyramid, so that could be a play here.
And Missing Link also pulled off on one of the smaller glitches, but it is a good time save, the key dash in that room. Also good tutorials out there for anyone looking to do those. And Verge, correct me if I'm wrong, but did Did Missing Link do the race game to get the other mail? Well, Verts, I hope you're on mute because I can't do this alone, my friend. And Missing Link will head into Landmo. Thank you, Shaki. Missing Link did go catch that blue mail way later, and just arrows on Landmo today, but Crystal obtained at the 119 mark for Missing Link. We'll see where that next stop is.
I'm sad. My internet dropped for like.
Your internet dropped, and then it came back, and then it dropped again. But, well, the Penguin says I'm doing fine, so we'll see if we can pull this off alone if need be. But, Verts, at least take the time, make yourself another cup of coffee, and head on back when you can. And the shed today, a nice use of mirror erasing there, and just some heart pieces. That's exactly right. It's a good way to learn how to be the main commentator is just become the main commentator with a little bit of internet problems. All right, Nephistoss working their way through swamp here. Nah, no worries. Looks like in the checkerboard cave we do have the shovel, so Missing Link will obtain that, and Nephistoss will also work his way through swamp. And Missing Link luckily has activated that flute. Heads back to the house, and we'll see where the next check is. The big chest in Swamp Palace only containing some red rupees today. Yes, I can provide some good play-by-play for everybody, but if we're looking to know what's in logic and what's not, it's going to be a disappointing conversation. And since we have the shovel, we'll go ahead and head up to the top here for Missing Link. We'll see what is dug up today. Just some bombs. Yes, very unfortunate. If you're trying to avoid doing Ice Palace without the hammer, and unfortunately the hammer is in Ice Palace, that is not a good time. Good diver down by Nephistoss. Very well done with the Samaria setup. Small key obtained. And Missing Link will use the portal north of Cact, head into the Dark World. We'll see what checks they'll be making next as Nephistoss continues through Swamp here. Missing Link looking to make some Thieves Town checks. And there we go. In a very important medallion here in Swamp as Bombos is picked up. And a bottle with fairy. This is a vicious seed. What a way to start a Sunday morning. And Nephistoss will head to the back of Swamp.
So, Carlton, yeah, we'll just jump in for a few seconds until Verse is back.
And how are we doing, Shaki? Glad to have you.
So, we see a good diver down here from Nephistoss again.
can I be heard?
Yes, you can, Bert.
Okay, great. What did I miss? I see Bombos from Neff now.
Well, then I'm out again. See you later.
Thanks, Shaki.
I only missed a couple checks and sheer terror from my side.
Oh boy.
Nah, no worries.
Cool. So I think I see what's going on here. So I imagine Neff got Bombos in Swamp Palace, right?
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
and I
Bombos,
see.
and that is both Meyer and Turtle Rock, I believe.
Yeah, yep, it sure is. And I see Missing Link back in Thieves Town. Found a shovel. That's not great because that'll lead them the wrong direction a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot going on here, man. Wow. Okay.
And here comes the DVD menu portion of Arcist.
A good way to put it.
And Nephisto's talented enough, we don't even get to see a demon try to hit the corner. So the DVD menu is spared another day. And Missing Link looks to head up to the blind fight. We'll see if the script holds today. And we'll hang out on the right side, get a nice poke, and good use of cape.
Yeah, it is wise. You know, you're also in a pretty good spot here. You got red mail, you got all these hearts. You're gonna be okay. Yeah, there is a script for fighting blind where you can basically avoid damage pretty safely. Next, and Neff is going to go to the pyramid now, and that will put them in go mode.
And Neff will pick up this flute, and we will see where the route heads.
Yes, indeed. They certainly hope they don't know that it puts them into go mode, but we know. So that's an hour 27 roughly for go mode. And they will know that soon.
Well, luckily, if I have any talent in this game at all, it's unfortunately hindsight. Very good after the fact.
Yeah, I'm wondering where Missing Link is heading here. Yeah, you certainly hope you see Missing Link head into. Oh, they're going to Pod. You certainly want to see them go into Ice Palace, but unfortunately now that doesn't look to be happening. The thing about this play is it makes sense. There are 5 checks that you can do, or 5 potential items you can get in Pod. In Ambrosia, you're only going to get 4. Because we know the last one's on the boss. But it's 4 items versus potentially not that many in Ice Palace. So it's a reasonable play. It's just unfortunately we already know it's the wrong one.
Well, I can only imagine, Verts, that if you were in the same position, you'd be making the same play.
Yeah, having skipped it earlier, I think it makes sense. You know, it's hard because like Ice Palace is a crystal. You don't want to double dip Ice Palace. Am I really gonna find Hammer in Ice Palace? And you know, you can. I've seen it happen plenty of times. I like Nephistoss' movement there, dashing up as if they're going to Meyer Shed, seeing that Meyer is Bombos, and then saying, "Nope, okay, we're going in."
Neff heads into Meyer. Meyer, just a 2-item dungeon. Nice bonk has there by Neff. Well done.
Yeah. And I imagine with all the things that they have, they're probably thinking, you know what, let's just go finish it. So as soon as you find the big key, you're like, all right, let's go.
Head on to the back. And Vitreous, not the most terrifying boss, but the goo can get you, as unfortunately Ricky of Kokiri learned last night. But for those of you who watched last night's race, it was very well done by both runners as well.
Some folks point out, Neff, not even worried about possibly finding red mail or silver arrows. Just like, nope, I'm a go. It's time. Missing Link taking a pause and think here. Going right side first. Okay.
And big key found for Neff.
Nice. And with the small key here, you just pop up through that door and just get on your way. Nice dash into that whiz robe. Yeah, kind of unfortunate for Missing Link here. You know, made a really nice play to get the ocarina earlier, but then unfortunately just not gameable on Ice Palace. Is kind of making reasonable plays to go for higher density area, but that's how it goes sometimes.
And it's extremely hard to hold someone accountable for using logic and rationale.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no spooky action in Mire today, but that's okay. Still get through just fine. If you want to learn a fun glitch, spooky action is a fun glitch.
And one of the other fun things about that glitch is looking up why it has the name.
Yes. I don't think I know actually why it has that name. I just know that it looks spooky.
There is, I don't know the exact story. I'm confident that chat will help, but I believe it has something to do with quantum physics or something really wild, where Wikipedia will put you on a bit of a rabbit hole.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Nephistoss is making use of that half magic and cape to finish off Vitreous quite quickly. Not even worried about any other things like doing fancy spin setups with the goo or anything, just slashing away. It works.
I guess when you're as talented as these runners, you just go in and get the kill.
Yep. All right. And Nephistoss will now get over to Desert Palace. And hopefully Missing Link will soon make their way to Ice Palace after this dungeon.
There we go, Senin. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Einstein called quantum entanglement. That's what it is.
All right. So Neff making their way through Desert Palace. Missing Link going somewhere. I think at this point they might just have Ice Palace left, honestly. Yep, they're making the play.
Making the play.
Now we'll see if they decide to do spooky first or if they decide to do the bomb jump side. If they decide to do the bomb jump side, they will be much happier, a little bit faster. Probably also feel bad about how long it took to get there. All right, we'll see another. I'll get to see a Landmo fight today. I missed the one earlier because my internet. So I'm excited for that.
That is quite all right. I provided some key commentary during that time.
This fight, when you have Gold Sword, Fire Rod, you're set up for a pretty easy fight.
Now, Verts, when you take on Landmo, do you also, I guess you said you don't use MSU packs, but do you use the audio cue there as well to get the quick kill?
I actually use a visual cue there. So when these first 3 little dust piles appear, you want to wait for, if you're using arrows at least, kind of NMG style, you want to wait for the second little dirt pile to reach its second stage of growth. And then you shoot an arrow left, or you can shoot up to 2 arrows left, and then 2 arrows right, and then some down. Is the NMG stratum. If you have Fire Rod, I like to either do what Neff did or kind of line up at the top, use a similar visual cue for firing the Fire Rod shots. That was a pretty solid fight.
Yes, no problem for Neff.
And with that, it does appear that Neff is on their way to Ganon's Tower. So we can potentially start that Ganon's Tower big key guessing game if Shaki, who is whitelisted, would like to enter that command.
We'll see if Shaki can find it among his many, many windows that he was talking about.
Yes, get that $ start. Good old $ start. And it will end once we get into Ganon's Tower, so we got a little bit of time here. Neff is going to be doing this climb here. I always go 3 because I like to be nice to the runners, but I also know that I'm always wrong. So,
well, if history plays true today, you are definitely going to be wrong.
Right, TheMissingLink has completed their icebreaker. That is unfortunately not going to get them what they want on this side, but they will be soon going back the other way, hopefully. Well, they don't have their hammer yet. Never mind. I was going to say, well, they can get a key, but they don't have the hammer. Nice dashing from Neff, getting through the enemies there. And Neff is entering the tower soon, and so when he enters it on the restream, we will cut off the big key guessing game with a solid $ stop.
And Neff will enter Ganon's Tower and make the ascent at 1 hour 37 minutes.
Yeah, it's pretty solid time. Depending on where the big key is, you could see sub 150 here for sure. All right, first check, red reviews. Second check, red reviews. All right, it's pretty standard. Third check here.
Your third check, which
is ether. Skip that. See ya.
So unfortunately, Verts, you are wrong, but
yep. Hey, I knew I would be, so it's okay.
But you're correct on so many other things.
Yes, we're correct on being wrong. All right, we'll get our 4 through 7 here. Check number 4, small key. Number 5, small key. Okay. Number 6, bombs. 7. Soon. Red rubies. All right. Well,
I find that room to be so incredibly frustrating, but Neff has no problem with it.
Yeah, that room definitely can be annoying. Those Stalfos can be jerks. All right, check number 8 coming up while we've got MissingLink going toward the bomb jump area.
The red boomerang.
We'll be heading toward Rando Room here in a moment. If you're not familiar with Rando Room, it's called that because you only go to it in randomizer. There's really no point to go into it in a vanilla run. MissingLink setting up a bomb jump.
And MissingLink, as previously mentioned, has been practicing these, so we'll see See if that's been paying off. Very nicely done.
Check number 9 in GT is the compass. Yeah, it was definitely a solid Ice Palace bomb jump there, for sure. You can tell the practice has paid off.
Yeah, someone has been in their practice hack.
All right, checks 10 through 14. 10, small key. 11, big key. All right, 11 was our number. So we can enter $key 11. If you guessed 11, which nobody did directly, but if you got close to 11, congrats. I call this rigged. Shaki, the Restreamer, wins. The Missing Link has picked up their hammer. They had a moment of hesitation, like, oh no. That is not good. And now they're off to fight the boss, having gotten the second item in there, which was a piece of heart. Nice. Neff making use of that mirror shield in those mimic rooms definitely helps for sure. Got some nice intense music for this Ganon's Tower climb.
Yes, cold stare without the bombos. Not nearly as satisfying, but I'm sure we'll have no problem here.
And you might, if you've been around for a while, you might remember that Neff had half magic from for a while and was able to make use of that half magic in this cold stare fight. The difference there, a reason Missing Link does not have it, is that Missing Link did not have the mirror when they climbed up Dark Death Mountain. So, unfortunately, they had to miss out on the half magic, which was on the floating island on Death Mountain. So Missing Link might decide to pick that up on their way to Ganon's Tower. They might not, depending on how far behind they feel. I think at this point, I personally would be feeling pretty far behind. You kind of last locationed the fire rod there. Or not fire rod, what am I saying? The hammer. Coffee still hasn't kicked in, people. We've got Missing Link in go mode now for sure with that hammer. Once they, well, not true, sorry, I misspoke. They're going to need to go to Swamp and then get their Bombos medallion, and then they'll be in go mode. I blame the coffee not kicking in still.
Well, I made a second cup as we had the official coffee break in the tile room, so.
Nice.
We are almost an hour and 45 minutes into this seed, and it's not even double-digit hours in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, right. Getting close, getting close. Neff getting bullied a little bit by these red guards on the disappearing bridge. Pretty standard place to get bullied, to be honest.
It's always interesting to see the different methods taken on this room with lighting the torches.
Oof, alright, there we go. Yeah, you're definitely going to want to get the big magic in the next room here. The nice thing about this big magic refill is if you dash, that room can be really quick. You can dash straight right, move up under that pot with the full magic, and then if you just pick up that pot and stand there, you will not get hit by the laser and you will pick up the magic. Alright, Neff making some final checks, maybe hoping to find silver arrows or something here. Now, depending on Neff's comfort with Silverless Ganon and how the rest of this tower goes, it certainly looks like Neff has a pretty commanding lead right now. But it is Rando, and anything can happen. Making a decision to get some extra health there and get the full magic refill. Nice Moldorm 2 fight.
No problem with the butter sword.
All right, and we are off to the finish line here. Solid 2 hits to start there. Of course, Agatu playing around a bit here, throwing some blue balls our way. Getting in hits when we can. There we go. And Agatu is down, the wizard is defeated, and now it's time for Ganon himself. Nice bonk timing there. Missing Link almost getting this diver down. So with Gold Sword fighting Ganon, each phase is 6 swings. Remember, of course, the phases start when Ganon starts, or the second phase starts when he starts spinning his trident to summon the bats.
And Missing Link does pull off diver down, which is very nice to see. We know it's a new trick for him.
Yes, indeed. Now, question: Where was Bombros?
I may have to rely on chat for that.
I was focusing on Neff and did not see if Missing Link picked it up. Silver arrows were entire. Ah, okay, so that's not great. The left side swan. All right, Nephistoss getting the torch glitch, setting up for silverless spins here. Missing those, unfortunately. Just a little bit off on the timing, but that is okay. They have half magic. There we go. Now we're getting it. Getting in the groove. Nice. It's 2 solid hits. Right, we're going to play it safe here on Neff's side. They're going to use the lamp to light the torch and try to get 2 hits per phase that way. Silverless, once you get the hang of it, it becomes a lot easier. You'll notice Neff is like a little bit distant sometimes, or just like a little bit late with the spin. They're getting a pretty solid rate of success with them, though.
Silverless is just the word itself is intimidating.
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
And
Meanwhile, Missing... Yep, you got it.
Missing Link does take down Argus, obtains that crystal. Well done there.
All right, meanwhile, Neff still making steady progress here with these spins. Yeah, just a little bit far away on that one. It happens. Yeah, it's definitely one of those tricks where once you really get the hang of it, you feel real good about it. Switching over to Fire Rod makes it a little bit easier there. You don't have to get like right up next to the torch to light it that way. Nice, and they finish it off.
Very well
All
done.
right, let's get some GGs in chat for Nephistoss, who will finish the race in first place.
Solid under 150 today for Nephistoss. Very well done.
Yes, indeed. And official racetime.gg time of 1:48:46. So GG Nephistoss. Yeah, very solid, especially considering how the lead kind of swapped back and forth so frequently from what we could see. especially going toward the end there. So we do see Missing Link heading toward left side swamp here. They're going to get their Bombos medallion momentarily. But we will see if we can get Neff in for an interview. It's gotta feel pretty unfortunate on Missing Link's side to, they found that flute so early, and then kind of unfortunately did not go to the right place. It's Rando, and so sometimes the best logical choice you can make just doesn't pay off. Just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, probabilities just sometimes don't play out in your favor. You can, over time, if you make the most logical decision each time, it's going to pay off, but this just wasn't one of those runs. And there is Bombos for Missing Link, and he will mirror out.
All right, still waiting on Neff for a potential interview, but in the meantime, we'll keep Missing Link company here and see how they finish up. They do just have one final crystal to get with Misery Mire. Getting bullied a little bit by the mini Landmo here in Mire area. All right, and we are joined by Nephistoss and Coxla. GG to both of you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, your thoughts on that hammer placement?
This seed was really trolly because we did pod for nothing, and we found powder. And yeah, when we found armor in ice, we was really happy because we forgot to check Fat Fairy because we forgot to mark Calwood as a red medallion.
Ah, I see. Yeah, it was interesting as you were going into Ice Palace, your opponent, the Missing Link, was going into the Pyramid Fairy check. So you kind of skipped over each other, and so Missing Link got the flute, and we said, "Wow, that's crazy." And then you picked up the hammer, and we said, "Wow, that's crazy."
So that was close. That was close. Sorry. Before armor and flute.
I would say, yeah, it was. You were fairly close together. You had done very similar checks. You had very similar items. Main difference at that point was that Missing Link had climbed the mountain and gotten flippers, and then gotten mirror, whereas you had fake flippered, and then you had gotten the mirror there, and then you climbed the mountain and got flippers.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, so it was interesting to see how close you were for a lot of the race.
Yeah, we were a bit scared with empty pod, and then maybe if he fake flippered, he could have got early mirror. So we were a bit scared about that. About some of these.
Yeah,
but Armor was nice on a mistake.
Yeah, hey, it works out. Any other major thoughts about the scene? Also, congratulations on the sub 150 with an official time of 148. I see 148.46.
thank you. But yeah, this seed was really we felt behind, like before we found armor. Really, we felt really behind because we did all the seed, and we had just Ice Palace and the end of TT left. It was the only check we had left, so yeah, we felt really behind. And when we was in ice, we just said, what is a red pendant? The red crystal, and we just checked the map and we saw it was Skullwoods, but
Gotcha.
we was in ice, so we just full cleared the ice, and it works. So it's cool, but it's not the good play, I think. But yeah, it works because we did a mistake.
Yeah, we were talking here because your opponent, Missing Link, instead of going to Ice Palace, they went back into Thieves Town and then went over to Pod, which they did not go to Pod right away after Aga like you did, and so they kind of had that unfortunate timing of. Logically, it makes sense to go to Pod because it has a lot of items in it and you can get them all. And what are the odds of finding Hammer in Ice Palace? And
Yes.
so, just kind of unfortunately, kind of got beaten up a little bit by making a logical choice that could work in another seed.
Yeah, the main reason we didn't dip TT Thief Town, it was because we only had one item in the four first checks, and an item can be locked by the armor. So we was like, it's not really good to dip Thief Town before we found armor.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had armor, we just did swamp and we found the flute after swamp because we wanted to route Fat Fairy, because yeah, when you do swamp you can do Fat Fairy really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And we found flute and Bombos in swamp.
Yes.
We are lucky because when we found Bombos, we was like, okay, we can do Total Lock. So yeah, it's a little scary, but yeah, it's cool. It was a fun scene overall, but a little trolly.
Yes. Yeah. Certainly. Yeah, it was interesting that it seemed like you went. My internet cut out as this happened, but it seemed like you went left side first in swamp, which got you that bombos, and kind of made you think like, well, might as well go for it. But your opponent unfortunately cleared swamp and then had to go back for bombos. They, by the way, Missing Link now climbing Death Mountain after getting the Mire Crystal, so they're on their way to Ganon's Tower.
We could have got mirror even earlier with if the first fake flippers did not fail.
Yeah, we were talking about that when it happened. It was unfortunate timing on the little mini Zora shot there.
Yeah, but I don't understand. I try to go into the hole, but I just
Yes.
go around and I can't go in. I don't know what is the seed box.
Yeah, the hitbox for those whirlpools is really hard.
It's really stupid.
All right, and we've got Missing Link entering GT in just a moment here. Shaki, our Restreamer, saying, "Guess where the key is?" I'm gonna take a guess and say 11. And hopefully they'll follow a similar route to you and get it in a similar time.
And so it just what put Missing Link so behind? It was the hammer.
Yeah, it was hammer. Primarily, they were looking for the hammer, but went back to Thieves Town, went into Pod, and so having skipped Pod, they maybe had a slight advantage there, but then dipping into it after you had already found the hammer kind of put them a bit behind there. Yeah, and again, perfectly reasonable play to make. They had not seen anything in Pod yet, so made sense.
Yeah, but yeah, it could be cool if Hammer was on Magic Bat. because
Mm.
powder was in pod, in deep pod, and you need to you need to get all the stuff. But yes, we was hoping Magic Bat had an item, but it was just 50 rupees, so it was bad. We
Yeah.
feel really behind after that.
Yeah, we were kind of hoping that Bat would have something as well, in part because Missing Link was able to do fake powder to get the Magic Bat item. So we were thinking, if there's something here, that could be a nice bonus for them. But unfortunately, just didn't work out this time.
And we can speak about the gold sword in under 10 minutes. That was really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah,
just
it
your loadout at the beginning of this seed was pretty goofy.
Yeah, to go through escape and basically have nothing, and then within 2 or 3 minutes just be loaded was really interesting.
Yeah, it was really fun to, really easy to kill all the boss with
Yes.
the early gold sword.
Yeah,
But
really
yeah, we tried to do fake flippers really early before Aganim because Zora was in logic and we wanted to check Zora with all the river
Mhm.
just in case Zora had meats or hammer. But yeah, we died here, so we just rushed Aganim because yeah, it was a loaded seat for Aganim.
Yeah, I think we were talking about it, and that seemed like a really reasonable play. You took some time trying the fake flipper, it didn't work out, and so it's totally fair to say, you know what, it's okay. We're just gonna call it and cut our losses here.
And it's okay when you had gold sword and like blue mail, it's really easy to do Aga Tower, so it's really fast.
I do want to point out Missing Link now getting into the gauntlet, entering the first Mimic room in GT. Taking a little pause to get a fairy. Makes sense. Yeah, it was a pretty safe seed for you all as well. Like you ended with blue mail and 13 hearts. Your opponent has 15 hearts and red mail. And with gold sword that early, like the game's being pretty nice to you.
Where was red mail?
I believe that it was right side of desert.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I'm correct.
We skipped.
Yes, you did.
Makes sense.
But we was afraid about silvers here or silvers in Shaki because it was literally in front of us, but it was in tower, so I don't know. It's a bad play, I think, to just open Shaki and all of that if you are in go mode.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. It seems reasonable to skip that and go for I know I can clear this dungeon. I might be able to get silvers, but if you feel comfortable doing silverless, then you don't necessarily need to worry about it.
Yeah, I still open the chest like in swamp or just really on the road. Like it take 1 second to open, but yeah. When you are in go mode, just rush.
Yes.
Better.
Yeah, and your ability to do that expands as you kind of catch on to different glitches and different ways of approaching rooms and such.
Yeah, it's because we did left side swamp because it's faster to do if you dive down, and so if you are not in go mode, doing left before the middle and the boss is better, I think, because you don't need to go in swamp again, and you can do diver down after. So yeah, it's better.
Yeah.
You lose less time.
Yeah, Yeah, I think even before Diver Down was discovered, if you were going to do left side swamp, you wanted to do it before you went to
Yes.
the back. Just because it takes so much time to go back in and get all the way back there. Yeah. All right. So do you want to shout out Missing Link here? Finished off Landmo 2. They're on their way up the rest of the gauntlet here, doing Wizrobes 2, and then off to the Torches. Also getting bullied on the Disappearing Bridge. You had a little bit of a hard time there as well, Neff. Those guards can be mega bullies.
Yeah, it was a good tower, but this thing I never understand what happened. I know it's like a frame perfect thing. But...
Yeah, sometimes they just the RNG there can just be kind of mean to you, and they can just really get in your way. Okay, Missing Link had a little bit of trouble with those torches, but they got through.
Oh,
Oh.
Okay, he did. He never took half magic. Interesting.
No, so that was a benefit for your route doing the fake flipper to get the mirror.
Yeah.
Because you were able to get half magic when you went up there, when you got the flippers in Hookshot Cave. But they got flippers first and then got the mirror.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because we took half magic because we had no bottle, and I had no bottle, and we needed to do Ice Palace, so yeah, we just took it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, looks like Missing Link skipping out on the full magic refill there, just deciding, all right, we're just going to go to Moldorm 2. And Moldorm 2, being Moldorm, is being a bully.
Oh yeah.
Well, it happens. Oh, we got lucky on on Moldorm, I think, on both of them.
Yeah, your Moldorms were quite clean, for sure.
Yeah, but we had gold sword, so it's okay for the two.
Yes.
Yeah, when I see my tracker, we miss a lot of items. Like no ice rod, no book.
Yeah, there were plenty of things that you did not find. Your full collection rate was 148, which is pretty solid for a 150 or a 145 in game time.
But I think even like a top player playing this seed with a hammer on Ice Palace is, I don't know, but it's 32, I think. I don't think a real good player, like a top player, will rush Ice Palace without hammer. So yeah, I don't know.
I can think of a few who would, but yeah, I think you're right that like reasonably you don't necessarily want to do that. There is Ice Palace kind of has a reputation of either being amazing and having like everything you need, or it will just troll you.
And Missing Link heading into the pyramid to take the pig.
Yeah, so I'd like to just focus on that. They're going to take a little break here, I think, to maybe fill up a potion, possibly.
So it's the last day to play this week, right?
I believe that is true.
So we will have the third match tomorrow.
Yeah, so we will be starting that third week tomorrow once all these races finish up for today. The difference in the third week, though, is that these racers in the Mentor tournament do not have a mentor in week 3. They'll be doing an Ambrosia Seed on their own. Idea there being they will be putting into practice what they've learned from the mentors they've had over the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got MissingLink making the pyramid climb again. And here we go. Just a reminder, they need 6 sword hits in each phase. Pretty nice.
Good.
Playing it safe with that hook shot there.
Yes, good use of hook shot.
Alright, on to the silverless phase here. Gets that torch glitch, and we begin. Okay, not quite on that first one. A little bit early with the spin. I think they're going to play a little bit careful with their magic here. I have a little bit of trouble setting it up when Ganon is on the bottom. What you want to do when Ganon's on the bottom, not that they can hear me or anything, but you want to kind of bait the bat above Ganon and then move down to one of Ganon's sides. Kind of like that. There you go. Alright, that's some mentor help there. It's the value of having a mentor in your ear as you are playing. And similar to Neff's Silverless, making steady progress toward the finish line here. Got a little poke there on Gan. Ooh, that was close. I got scared. Oops. Alright, getting close here. Just a couple. Oh, unfortunate. That is sad. Well, takes a fall and then gets a little bit of damage boost at the bottom, too. That was interesting. Oh.
Was like 1-8 about the end, nice.
Yeah, they were very, very close. Now, we'll stick with them. As long as they're willing to try it out, we'll stick with them and support them.
Yes, we've certainly all been there in that situation, but feel confident on this one. MissingLink, you got it.
If they've got their hits in, they just need to wait for this fire bat phase to finish up. Oof. Got a little bit close on the health here. Yeah, they're going to use that pot early. I think that's wise. All right, now scanning the torch glitch again, and here we go. Saved it.
Ooh, very close. And we'll see if Missing Link can use that method of baiting the bat and moving to the sides.
We got one. It's two. Very close on that one. Oh, almost three. That's three. Okay. Yeah, moving maybe a little bit far away from the bats, trying to be safe. I get it.
And yes, the fire bat hitboxes are very mean.
Yeah, they don't entirely make sense. Oof, so close. Alright, that's 4 hits. As the racer in this situation, you gotta be feeling like, come on, Ganon, just let me hit you. It's 5. Almost 6. They're getting close. They're definitely getting the hang of this trick. This is something, again, like once you get a feel for it, it becomes easier. But getting the feel for it can be really hard. Seven, I think.
Believe so.
Almost there. Okay. I like this slow, steady approach, and just playing it careful, being smart. Taking a couple of hits here and there, but they have enough health as long as they're careful from here. These warps are also not helping them out. Ganon's going about as far as he can on every single warp. I think that's 9.
I believe that's 9 too.
Ooh, okay. Okay, we have to be a little careful here.
I don't believe there's another
10.
potion in there.
No, they do not have another, unfortunately. Yeah, definitely wise to stay away when he warps down there.
Don't die now.
11, come on. Yes, there it is. Nice. GGs.
Very well done.
Let's get those GGs in chat for the missing link. That is well earned.
Under pressure, 1 heart. That is an impressive way to finish.
And finish with an official time of 2:17:59. And we'll see about getting them in for an interview. They say they're good. All right, so they may be joining us in the interview green room here in just a moment. Definitely a challenging, tricky seed with that hammer placement, and definitely getting the hang of that silverless attack there. But GG's to Missing Link for sure. We'll be here soon.
Yeah, and props to Missing Link to be able to pull that off after having the unfortunate fall, come back up, and finish it with 1 heart under
Yes.
pressure. Very well done.
Yes, and we are now
Thank you.
joined by the Missing Link and dazedcloud. GG. That was a tough seed to finish out, but
Oh,
congrats.
GG's.
GG.
thank you. GG to you too.
So I hate to ask, but I have to ask. What are your thoughts on that hammer placement?
Not happy, Jan. That was not my favorite. I mean, it's like it had to be like we were looking through everywhere. It's like where could it be? And I think we were tossing up between Pod and Thieves Town for the longest time, and then I think we were going through Pod, and Dazed had this anagnosis of like, oh gosh, it could be Ice Palace. Please don't let it be Ice Palace.
Yeah, I'd been sitting there in the back of my head for a while going, you know, if it's in Ice Palace, that's going to be such a mean, awful place for it to be, considering, you know, your save points and everything else. And I'm like, that's probably not Ice Palace, but... And then it just kept going, and it turns out, yeah, that's where it was. So,
Yep.
man, what are you going to do?
Yeah, we were talking about it here, and I think even Neff was saying that it going to Ice Palace maybe is not like the best play potentially. Like you all still had Pod, you still have the rest of Thieves Town. That's a lot of dense locations, and if you don't find it in Ice Palace, then you're kind of in trouble there. So that's a hard choice to make.
Yeah, definitely feeling like you almost lost location that thing. I mean, we had to go to Ice Palace eventually, but just knowing so much is locked behind Hammer is not... You don't want to go to Ice Palace on a good day, and to go to an Ice Palace where you have to do it twice.
Yes.
I was getting really nervous there at one point that we were going to get Bombos out of get Bombos out of Ice Palace, and then it'd be like, no, actually, your hammer's back in Mire. Go back. Oh, okay.
Yep, things like that will happen. So just to give you some insight on kind of the flow of things here, you all were pretty close together for quite a while. And eventually, Missing Link, you made a decision to go into Swamp Palace at the same time that Neff went into Ice Palace. And so you got your one check in Swamp, you decided, all right, well, forget that. Went up to the Pyramid Ferry, got your flute, and Carlson and I were both like, oh my goodness, that's huge. And then a minute later, Neff got the hammer, and we said, oh my goodness, that's huge. There was just like this really interesting trading back and forth of item finding.
Yeah, it was interesting because as I always do, I forget to do my map check, and I finished Eastern without having done that map check, and so I'd actually lost track of one of the red crystals, and we looked at it so late in the game of we were going to do Pyramid Ferry, and Dazed had this moment of inspiration of, no, let's do the first chest of Swamp just to see what that is first, and then we'll go do that. And yeah, just led us down the complete wrong path with that flute. I should have checked flute so long ago, but it still might have not, paid off in the long haul, because that would have opened up other things.
I think inspiration might be a bit strong there. That was mostly that was mostly going, hey, let's go for a Hail Mary here, because oh my god, where the hell is this thing? And if that turns out to be the hammer right there, I think probably he wins the seed. I'm thinking there's a really good chance that, because God knows, when do you go check the first chest of Swamp Palace? So when it's there, that typically wins you a seed.
Yeah, and I was totally willing to take that gambit because I felt very behind at that point. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it a go, see what happens. If it's there, that's going to be the thing that gets me back in the lead. Let's see what happens. So yeah, it was a lot of the plays just weren't working out, just because, yeah, they put some items in really weird spots in this seed.
Yes.
It's funny to hear that you were in the same mindset. We also felt really behind for a long time before finding Hammer. So guys.
Oh, there was no way.
Truly.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you put a hammer in Ice Palace like that, it's nobody's gonna feel good about it.
It is so true. Although it was actually interesting having like butter swords that early in the game. It's like, all right, this is totally fine. Did anyone find silvers? Just out of curiosity, did I pass by them?
No, so Neff did open up chests along the way. We know that they were in Ganon's tower, but seemingly not along the path that you took.
Okay, good to know that I just didn't skip them. Like, at that point, I already knew that Neff had won. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to silver this thing just for the sake of it. And I just stopped checking chests. And Dave's just like, what are you doing? Just check them anyways. And I'm like, I've already passed them. They're gone. They're dead to me.
Right, it's too late. They're dead to me.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I mean, TML played really well. I mean, I was talking to him when he was on his way over to Skull Woods there, and I was just like, so how are you feeling about a 7-heart moth fight? And he's like, good, I guess. And yeah, he got it done. And so I mean, that's what this whole whole tournament is about learning stuff. And like he was pulling off some stuff there that I was pretty impressed with.
Yeah, was there anything that you were learning on the fly that Daze was kind of walking you through?
There was one, I think, that we were talking about, a couple things of, we were worried about like, oh, maybe we'll have to go into TR and do that dark room at some points. He's like, oh, I could teach you that, but actually, the first race,
It was something.
the first race. Sorry, go ahead, Daze.
Oh, sorry, but I was just thinking there was something we were talking about that I was just like, oh yeah, I'll just teach you how to do that real fast, like in the middle of the seed. I can't remember what it was now.
Yeah, I remember we talked about the dark room, and I think there was one thing that you were going to teach me, but it was like, maybe not in the middle of a race. That's not the best time for that. But the first race, I had Daze as a mentor as well, and he had asked me like, do you know Icebreaker? Do you know Diver Down? And I'm like, no. And so I actually like practiced them this week and learned them, and I got to use both in the race, which makes me feel really good.
Nice. That's an awesome feeling for sure. Do we have
And you
any? Sorry, Carlson.
without much trouble. Yeah, no worries. I was going to say that not only were they newer tricks, but you really pulled them off smoothly without much trouble. So very, very good job.
Yes,
Yeah, you have to find kind of that, especially since a lot of those are like one frame things, you have to find the buffering technique that works for you. And so like I actually find that certain ones work for different, like I don't know, with the way that my mind works, like the pause buffering works for this one, but like sword buffering works for this one better. So yeah, it was actually kind of fun to get to show them off and like show how I've grown over the course of a week.
Nice. Well, once again, I want to say GG to everybody who raced. Do we have any final comments from Missing Link or Nephistoss or mentors?
GG, and it was a really fun race. Sporty but fun.
Yeah, definitely GG to you, and hopefully next week is a better seed. That was no more hammer spots.
Yes. Nice. Well, I'll say GG again. I do want to shout out the racers and the mentors. You can give them a follow. Their Twitch streams are in the chat now. Also want to shout out my co-commentator, Carlson32, our tracker, Koval, who's the Koval White on Twitch, and our restreamer, Shaki, who's twitch.tv/Shaki. I'm Verts505, and also want to shout out the Go Mode podcast. Again, this was part of our mentor tournament in the podcast community. This next week coming up, after we've had 2 weeks of mentor races, after all the races today are done, mentees will be going without a mentor. And so their next races will be an Ambrosia seed on their own to see what they've learned. So if you want to stay up to date on all that, please do check out the Go Mode podcast, check out the Discord, and unless anyone else has any final words, I think we can sign off. All right, I'll assume no one else has final words. All right, thanks again for watching, y'all. It's been fun, and enjoy the rest of your day. Check out some other races, and we'll see you next time.